Hey guys, it's Jeff from Pressure Luck. It is cold out, but I'm so warm and cozy inside. So today I'm feeling like I miss France. I love France, and I love the food there so much. And I am going to make something today in the pressure cooker, whether it be the Ninja Foodi or the Instant Pot, that is this incredibly rich, hearty, bean-based type stew, full of meat, and it's called a cassoulet. Yes, we are making cassoulet today. And now, what is a cassoulet? Like I just said, a cassoulet is essentially a bean stew. It's chock full of poultry, such as duck confit, chicken thighs, and then you put some sausage even in there, a smoked sausage, really any sausage of your choice, some pancetta, and some ham hocks, and you make this unbelievable bean stew, essentially. And at the end, we top it off with this amazing panko crust, and it gives it this unbelievable little crunch at the top. It's amazing. So guys, let's not delay. Let's make some cassoulet. So let's start with 2 large shallots and dice them up. Now let's take about a pound of a smoked sausage of your choice and slice it into discs about 1/4 inch thick. And by the way, you can even use duck sausage if you want for this. It's actually what they use in the traditional recipe, but that's difficult to find, and smoked sausage, in my opinion, works wonderfully. Now let's go to our Ninja Foodi or our Instant Pot. It doesn't matter which one we use, both will cook it perfectly, exactly how we want it, except in the Ninja Foodi, you can do everything in here and not have to transfer it at the very end, whereas if you use the Instant Pot, you'll need to do that if you want to give it a nice little crust. But we'll worry about that later. The point is you can totally do this in either the Ninja Foodi or the Instant Pot. I want to add in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and 4 tablespoons or a half a stick of salted butter. So I'll come down on my control panel and hit the saute or the sear/saute button depending on your model. Make sure I am on the high setting. On the Ninja Foodi, I want to hit the start button. On the Instant Pot, you don't hit anything. It'll automatically start on its own. Unless you're using the Ultra model, then you hit the start button. Now once the butter's melted and the oil sizzling, I'm going to add in about a pound of a duck leg confit. Now if you can't find duck leg confit, you can just use chicken thighs, which I'm also going to add, but if you can find this, great. Use a pound of it. And I'm going to sear it on both sides for about a minute. And now, by the way, this is already fully cooked, and that's totally fine, and most of the time it'll come like that, so don't worry about it, but we just want to give it a little bit of a sear. And then after about a minute, just flip it over. And you can also swoosh it around a little bit inside of the butter and the oil. And there we go. And once we've achieved a nice sear on each side, look at that, that's looking great. We're going to set that aside. Look at that, beautifully seared. Now I want to add in 1 pound of chicken thighs. And you can use boneless, skinless, or bone-in with the skin on. And if you're not using duck confit, use 2 pounds of the chicken thighs. We want to sear this on each side for about a minute. And flip it over. And we just want to sear it for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side. And this is looking great, guys. Perfect. When it's like that, we're all done. And now let's remove that to a plate to join our duck confit that we've also seared. And now that we have our butter and oil nicely brown in the pot, as well as infused with the flavors of our chicken and our duck, we want to add in some pancetta. I'm going to add in between 8 to 10 ounces of it. And it helps when you get the kind that's already cubed. You can usually find this in the supermarket in like the deli section. And let's stir that up and let this cook in the butter and oil for about 5 minutes. And as our pancetta is cooking inside the pot, now let's also add in our scallions. And stir that around and let them cook together. And after about 5 minutes of the pancetta and the shallots cooking up in the butter, it's going to look perfect, and we're going to be ready to add in some garlic. I'm going to add in 1 tablespoon of crushed or minced garlic. And then stir that in with the shallots and the pancetta for about a minute. And now I want to add in my smoked sausage. And then stir that in with everything else, and it's already cooked, the sausage, but allow it to sear a little bit for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then it's going to release some more fabulous flavor and juices. So between the chicken and the duck and the pancetta and the sausage, we've released some incredible flavor into this butter and oil base. And it's just going to infuse the most amazing flavor into the cassoulet. And after about 3 minutes or so of our sausage cooking up, wait for it, nice and good inside of everything in the pot, we are now ready to add in the next ingredient. And that's going to be 2 ham hocks, guys. Ham hocks I'm adding in there. They're going to be amazing for the flavor, and they're perfect, and they're super cheap. As you can tell, this is not a kosher dish. Just add that in there. 2. Also toss in about 5 full garlic cloves that I've just halved. Add back in all of our duck and our chicken. And also add in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. I should say 2 heaping tablespoons of it. And then just kind of get it all over the chicken and the duck. And now comes time to add in our broth. I'm going to add in 5 cups of broth. And you know me, I'm using my better than bouillon. I am going to use 2 teaspoons of ham base mixed with 2 cups of water, as well as 3 teaspoons of chicken base mixed with 3 cups of water. If you can't find the ham base, you can just use 5 cups of chicken broth. Whatever you want to do, but to me, this is the great combination. And now we're going to add in 1 pound of Great Northern beans, or cannellini beans, whichever one. Just make sure that they're dried and they're rinsed. And then just get those nice and submerged and everything in the pot. We want to make sure that they're not floating above the liquid. Okay, so in terms of the beans, let me just give you a little pointer here. You do not have to, pre-soak the beans or anything of that nature. You can just put them in right now, that's fine. But since the beans are totally dried and hard right now, it's gonna take about 90 minutes start to finish of the pressure cooking process, which is fine. A lot of people like to use, fresh dried beans, just like that. However, if you use canned beans, like I would suggest using Great Northern beans, 15.5 ounce cans, 2 of them, take 2, and then add them to the pot with all the stuff that's already in there. You don't have to rinse them off, add them in, and the cook time is just going to reduce to 20 minutes versus 70 minutes with a 20-minute natural release. There will be also no natural release if you just use canned beans. So if you have a time saver, go and use these. But if you want to use the dried beans, which a lot of people like to do because the Instant Pot's great at that, it speeds it up really, really nice. If you think about 90 minutes, that seems like a while, but it's actually not for dried beans since you're not pre-soaking them. And also cassoulets can take hours and hours typically in the traditional sense. But you know me, this isn't traditional. So you'll see in the written recipe, you can use dried beans, which will take about 90 minutes start to finish, or you can use canned beans, which will drastically cut that down to about 20 minutes start to finish. Choice is yours. And if you're using canned beans, only use 3 cups of broth as opposed to 5 for using dried beans, because dried beans will absorb the broth, whereas the canned beans are already cooked, they're already absorbed. So it'll be really liquidy if you use 5 cups versus 3 cups for the canned beans, okay? So 5 cups of broth for dried beans and 3 cups for canned. And lastly, let's season it up with a 1/2 tablespoon of dried thyme, 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and 2 bay leaves. And then just stir that up with everything lightly. All right, and we are now ready to pressure cook. Let's put our lid on top, make sure that we're in sealing position. So now I want to come down on my control panel on the Ninja Foodi, which I'll hit the pressure button. If I'm using the Instant Pot, I'm going to hit the pressure cook or manual button. Go there, make sure I'm on high pressure, and I want to adjust the time so I'm on 70 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes. It's the same thing. That's only if I'm using dried beans. If I am using non-dried beans, like that they're in a can already, then I'm going to just go for 20 minutes, all right? That's the big difference here. But all the meat in the pot's not going to overcook if we go for 70 minutes versus 20. Just trust me on this. And then hit the start button if you're using the Ninja Foodi, and if you're using the Instant Pot, you don't do anything. After 10 seconds, it'll start on its own. In the meantime, let's prepare our panko breadcrumb crust. I'm going to use 1 cup of panko breadcrumbs. That's like a Japanese style. You can find them in pretty much any supermarket. They're very trendy. 1 teaspoon of dried parsley, 1 tablespoon of Parmesan cheese that's grated, and a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. Now let's get a fork and just combine everything together. And after we mix everything up, we're going to add in 1 more tablespoon of olive oil. Just add that in, and then just do a final mix. And this is perfect. All right, let's just set this aside for now. All right, and now that it's done pressure cooking, we want to now allow a 20-minute natural release. That means it's going to start counting up just like it would on the Instant Pot, and once it hits 20 minutes, we're going to finish it off with a quick release. And now that 20 minutes of a natural release have passed, meaning we did nothing for 20 minutes, we're going to finish it off with a quick release. And the pin just dropped. And now let's take the lid off. And there is our delicious cassoulet. Alright, so now let's remove the ham hock. Alright, some people like to keep it in there. That's okay. I'm not going to. And let's also remove our bay leaves. Alright, so here's the difference between doing this in the Instant Pot versus the Ninja Foodi. If you do this in the Instant Pot and you want that panko crust, you're going to transfer all the contents from the liner pot to a casserole dish, lay on all of the panko crust, and then pop it into a preheated oven that's at 450 degrees for between 5 to 10 minutes. Just keep an eye on it, because all ovens vary. If you do this in a Ninja Foodi, you don't have to transfer anything to a casserole dish, you don't have to preheat an oven. We're going to do it all in here with a tender crisp lid, and that's what I'm going to do. Either way, you can cook it in an Instant Pot or Ninja Foodi. It's just this final step. If you want the crust, that's a little more convenient this way. So I'm going to take all of my breadcrumbs and just put them on top. And they're going to saturate a little bit. Get it everywhere. And there we go. Perfect. You can smooth it out a little if you want. And now I'm gonna lower the tender crisp lid. And now we'll come back to the control panel here if I'm using the Ninja Foodi, hit the broil button, and I'm just gonna go on this, guys, for 4 minutes. That's it, 4 minutes. If you're using an Instant Pot and you want that crust on top, transfer everything to a casserole dish, lay on the panko breadcrumbs, and throw it into an oven at 450 degrees for about another 5 to 10 minutes. But just keep an eye on it because all ovens vary, probably closer to 5 minutes than 10. And then after about 4 minutes of broiling with the tender crisp lid down, look at that, guys. Oh my. We are now ready to serve this up. Wow, it smells incredible, by the way. So I'm gonna wanna now come into the cassoulet and then take some of our meat out of here. Look at this. The bones are just falling right off of the duck, confit. It's amazing. Put that in a serving dish. And then I'm gonna get some sausage and chicken and add that to it, as well as plenty of beans. Don't forget that chicken, some more sausage. I like layering it so the breadcrumbs are also on the bottom as well as the top. And a nice final piece of duck confit on top. Oh, gorgeous. Gorgeous! And definitely do not forget those beans, because the beans is a huge player in this. Ah, making a mess. And that, my friends, is a cassoulet done in an electric pressure cooker beautifully. And it's gonna be an astounding, epic feast of a meal. Just you wait. Let's try it out. All right, guys, here it is. Look at this beautiful bowl that I made. And it's truly like the most outrageous beany, poultry, hammy stew. Oh my gosh. Everything is so tender beyond your wildest imagination. Just look at this chicken. The beans are absolutely perfectly cooked. There's no mushiness. There's plenty of substance to them. And that's because I did it in the dried fashion. If you're going to cook them out of the can, that's fine too. It might not be quite as firm, but this is perfect in terms of consistency. The flavors in here, oh my gosh, the duck. I gotta try some of this duck. I'm so sorry, Donald. Brace yourselves, folks. Brace yourselves. This dish, guys, magnifique. It's like literally like, it almost reminds me of a southern dish. Richard, get in here. Here he is, everyone's favorite guy. Now, this reminds me so much of a southern dish because of the flavors.
Like me, or you.
Oh, bless your heart. So what do you think of it?
Oh God, that's really amazingly porky.
Oink oink.
Nah.
Like I said, definitely not kosher friendly.
No.
I mean, the sausage practically melts in your mouth. And try the duck. What do you think of the duck?
The duck, you know I love duck.
Yeah, I know you do. That's duck confit, so you're not gonna go wrong with them. You got, of course, you gotta leave the skin on the duck. So.
Oh wow, incredibly meaty and hearty.
Look at the camera somewhere every so often.
Meaty and hearty, incredibly meaty and hearty, just like so tasty.
Does it remind you at all of a southern dish? Doesn't it have a kind of a southern flavor to it?
Like a stew of some sort, I guess, like a I don't know, I've never had rabbit or squirrel stew, but...
There's no rabbit or squirrel in this. I mean, you could totally put that in there, though, if you want. I mean,
if you want to do that.
Yeah.
It's like a game stew, kind of. It reminds me of a game stew, but it's like games.
It's really, really good.
It's so tasty.
It's basically like if chickens and duck on some sort of, like, farm had, like, an affair with the pigs, you know? It's that good. Listen, don't judge. Everyone can fall in love with everybody. If you're a pig or you're a chicken, doesn't matter. All right, go and sit down and finish eating. Enjoy it. Do you want some bread?
Yeah.
Bread goes really well with it. Enjoy. Just don't get it all over the couch and the floor. Don't get crumbs, all right? So there you have it, guys. An absolutely outrageous cassoulet. It's truly one of the most decadent things you'll ever have. Perfect for the cold months. I highly recommend you make one this winter. Incredibly hearty, incredibly rich dish. I don't know if I'm in the south of Alabama or the south of France when I eat it. Guys, if you enjoy these recipes, go to PressureLuckCooking.com because I have a ton of them there. There's so many, and there's so many more coming. I got you covered. Winter months means soups and stews and hearty dishes, and you know, some healthy ones of course too. And of course you could always alter any recipe to make it to your liking in terms of spices, health, whatever. Go to Facebook.com/PressureLuckCooking and like that page for any time a new recipe drops. You'll be notified there. Deals on items, humor, things of that nature. I really like saying that, by the way. And of course, at Pressure Luck, subscribe to me on YouTube. I just surpassed 100,000 subscribers. Thank you so much to each and every one of you who subscribed, and for Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram as well. Guys, we can have frigid temperatures, I don't know, come what may, but guess what? You're covered because you've got cassoulet. Let's do it. Magnifique.